Lie detection. Should polygraph results be used as evidence in criminal trials? First created in 1921, the polygraph was designed to measure continuous changes in blood pressure, heart rate, and respiration rate. With the intent of aiding in the detection of deception, the polygraph had its first momentous interaction with the legal system in 1923. The desire for criminal trials to obtain a test which could differentiate between truth-telling and deception came from a case where significant evidence may not exist or have been uncovered to enable a compelling conclusion. As popularity of the polygraph continued to rise, the development of new testing procedures surpassed academic growth in the field of deception detection. Primarily due to this perceived lack of scientific rigour in the early studies, a foundation of criticism and polygraph use within criminal trials developed. The first empirical review of the polygraph was eventually conducted in 1965 as the US Committee on Government Operations proposed using the polygraph to screen federal employees. After evaluating the pertinent evidence, the US Congress released a statement that year concluding, "There is no lie detector, neither man nor machine. People have been deceived by a myth that a metal box in the hands of an investigator can detect truth or falsehood." Advocates for the polygraph, including David Lycan, John Reed, and Frank Inbauer, highlighted the disconnection to be between the science and the practice of the device. They believed that the individual conducting the polygraph test was the real lie detector, and discrepancies in results were a consequence of very few professional polygraphers possessing psychological training. The words of these influential critics were largely accepted, and most concerns around the scientific validity and reliability of the polygraph were therefore dismissed, resulting in the continued use of polygraph results as evidence in criminal trials. The use of polygraph results as evidence in criminal trials has been a subject of debate for a long time, as advocates have pushed for its potential to enhance the accuracy of truth and lie detection in legal proceedings. Over the last 35 years, several scientific studies have shown that when combining instrumental recording and statistical modelling, a polygraph examination can distinguish deception from honesty at rates significantly greater than chance. In two particularly notable analyses, Honts and Peterson and Raskin and Honts reported very high veracity rates of the polygraph study, exceeding an accuracy level of 0.90. In their reporting chapter, Raskin and Honts provided an in-depth explanation on one of the most widely used polygraph questioning techniques, the comparison question test. They go on to explain how this particular polygraph test relies on the comparison of an individual's physiological responses to both relevant questions, directly related to the investigation, and comparison questions, broader, non-relevant queries. Within this line of questioning, Raskin and Honts followed the assumption that those deceptive individuals will convey stronger heart rate, blood pressure, and respiration rates to the relevant questions. While results are not perfect, Raskin and Honts, along with several other research partners, have acknowledged that polygraphs have consistently shown strong accuracy in numerous studies, and can therefore be a useful tool to provide evidence in criminal trials when applied properly. Many concerns on the ethics of using polygraph testing results as evidence in criminal trials have arisen from the consistently produced false positive error rates. Some false positive errors within the testing can be identified and corrected through investigation, yet this is not always possible until the results have escalated to a point where it has permanently affected an individual's life. In criminal trials, this could lead to wrongful convictions or the unfair treatment of individuals, as errors might not be discovered until after significant harm has been done. While studies such as those presented by Honts and Raskin claim high levels of accuracy in polygraph tests, they have often been plagued by measurement bias and were rarely reflected through empirical research. When considering a legal context, these uncertainties reduce the credibility of polygraph results as evidence. Alongside the possibility of false positive results, Honts et al. Have produced compelling findings which highlight how a guilty person is able to defeat a comparison question test by consciously altering each of the physiological indicators measured through the polygraph. The possible manipulation of responses within this examination raises apprehensiveness around the accuracy of results, ethical responsibility, and scientific consensus. These concerns clearly convey the reasoning as to why polygraph tests do not meet the rigorous standards of reliability and consistency required for admissible evidence in criminal trials. The use of polygraph results as evidence in such high-stake decisions could result in the miscarriage of justice. Based largely on the previously stated reasoning alongside more in-depth research, I believe that polygraph test results should not be used as evidence in criminal trials. With scientific unreliability and a risk of false positives, the liabilities associated with using polygraph results as evidence are simply too prominent in a situation where one's freedom and reputation are at stake. In an alternative perspective, some may debate polygraph results could be used as supplementary information in corroboration with other evidence. This concept is endorsed when considering it is extremely difficult for most people to control all of the measured physiological responses. Yet, in adopting a lens of reliability and fairness, it would still be unethical to use polygraphs as evidence in any legal context when we know that there is potential for manipulation. If polygraph results were accepted as evidence in criminal trials, even if supplementary, it could influence cases where precision is paramount and cause wrongful convictions. While polygraphs certainly offer some insight, the large quantities of data and documentations highlighting their inaccuracy proves polygraph results to be an unreliable and unethical form of evidence in criminal trials.